Hey friends, tip 13 is rewrite a story that you're telling yourself. And I spoke about this a little bit yesterday in the sleep video about how sometimes if we're having strange dreams, it's an opportunity to rewrite a story that we're telling ourselves. But I think this practice is a lot bigger and a lot more applicable in many aspects of our lives, especially when we're facing something that makes us anxious or afraid, or we just kind of have hesitancy and we need momentum to get through it. And so what is it in your life? Where's the self-talk? What's that story, that negative story that you keep telling yourself? And how can you take those words, that self-talk, and rewrite it and plant within you a new story? And so a couple examples from my life. When I think about, I did this exercise at a retreat that I went to over the weekend last summer, where we were thinking about, what's a negative trait or something that we often kind of criticize ourselves about. And for me, it was like that moment where you have this realization that you've done something wrong and that you've done something, made a mistake. Maybe that mistake has a negative impact. And the story that I would tell myself in that moment is, oh my God, you effed up, you're not good enough, all of these negative things. And then I went for a walk per the instructions in our session. And I was like, how do I reframe that? What's the new story? And what I came up with was, I'm a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. I'll make mistakes and I'm going to learn from them and I'm going to get better. And that's what evolving, that's what being a work in progress is all about. And I can celebrate the fact that I'm a work in progress. And then example number 2. So paralyzing fear this time last year about motor scooters in Bali. I knew over the summer that I had to learn how to drive a scooter because you can't live in Bali and not drive a scooter. It's just very impractical unless you want to live in the foreigner tourist center, which I did not. And so I took a motorcycle class over the summer in Chicago at a community college. And I mean, these were not scooters. These were not little automatic, scooters. These were like hardcore motorcycles that if it started to tip over, you would just go down with it because they were so heavy. I had to shift gears. I had to do all of these things. And it was very scary and overwhelming and exhilarating and exciting. And so I went in just knowing that I was going to pass, like that this was the plan. This was what was going to happen. I'm going to pass this class. But that didn't stop my mind from going, you can't do this, you're going to fail, you don't have what it takes. All of these things that my mind was screaming in this moment. And I thought, okay, what is the new story? And so what I would do is I would just kind of take a deep breath and say inside, you are a badass. Because how many other, female directors at KPMG and consulting are kind of out this weekend learning how to ride a motorcycle? Probably not that many. So Heather, you are a badass. And as I would say this to myself, because I 100% believed it too, I would feel my lips kind of curve into a smile. I would feel my heart start to get excited. And that's what I would do every time I faced a new obstacle, every time I faced a new challenge on the motorcycle. And even after, some mistakes and some mishaps, I would just bring myself back and say, you are a badass. And you know what? I passed, I got my motorcycle license, and it made me a better scooter driver in Bali. And so sometimes in those crazy moments, we just need to tell ourselves a new story. Hope this was helpful. As a side note, I've been having fun in the closet, put on a 𝘁𝗂𝗿𝗏 top that I bought in China in the year 2000 because where else am I going to wear it? Why not in the video? Have fun, guys.